And this is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVets Media. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans, and proudly also cover Iona University basketball. Today we've got another Kevin Hamilton preview show. Kevin, how are you tonight?
Very good, Ken. Good to talk to you again.
Always good to talk with you. Well, we were both in New Rochelle on Tuesday night this week for a memorable Iona win over the St. Louis Billikens, that by a score of 84-62 a game. Iona, I'd say, dominated really from middle of the first half. What did you see in that win by Iona on Tuesday night, Kevin?
I thought it was a thrilling event for them and a very solid performance. I think that the guys really responded very, very well to playing against high level competition. Although I think St. Louis is a much better team than they played, I would like to give Iona all the credit for forcing them to have to play a different style and really taking some of their very good players out of their comfort level and making them have to really, really work to perform in that contest. So very solid win for the Gales.
I'd say there was this one play in the first half when the score was 15-12. Actually, St. Louis was leading at that portion of the game, and Walter Clayton got a bounce pass down the lane from Osborne Shima, and I thought that was just remarkable. St. Louis was not looking for a bounce pass down the lane.
Well, there's many things that happened in that game that I can guarantee you St. Louis wasn't expecting. You mentioned Osborne Shima, and he was spectacular. It was the best game that he's had in a Gale uniform. He did everything and more, and really, really surprised the Gale fans. But I could tell Coach Pitino was very pleased and felt like that's the guy that he's been expecting to show up for some time now, and he played very, very well. The other piece to it, Ken, was although Iona got off to a slow start, they were steady, and the guards really performed very, very well, giving them an opportunity to build a lead, sustain the lead, and then grow the lead by making very smart plays, very clutch offensive plays, and playing with some toughness that this early in the season it's really good to see that they have that level of toughness.
Yeah, the two guards, Coach Pitino was very complimentary after the game, comparing him to guards he's had at places like Providence and Kentucky with Walter Clayton, who I mentioned a moment ago, 20 points, also 12 rebounds on the game, and 21 for Dennis Jenkins, who's just turning into be a steady, consistent scoring player.
Well, start with Jenkins. He's doing it all for Iona, and they should be very happy with the first year player. But this was a statement game, I believe, for him. Playing against guard Yuri Collins, who's highly regarded nationally. Jenkins totally outplayed them and did all the things that would have people say he's as good as the best guards that are playing college basketball right now. And then Walter Clayton, although he's only a sophomore, I can tell you he's spectacular. He is the physical guy who takes the beating and gives the beating. He likes to foul, which is a good thing. He gets his money's worth. But he's doing a lot of other things lately that really shows the growth in his game and shows that he's listening to the coaching staff to develop more than just the one-dimensional but good game that he had from last year. So he's growing very, very well.
And Nelly Jr. Joseph just played 22 minutes because he got two fouls relatively early in the first half. Came out strong in the second half. Helped Iona maintain the lead, 8 of 13 shooting on the day, 5 rebounds. What did you think of Nelly Jr. Joseph's effort there on Tuesday night?
Well, as I was doing the broadcast on ESPN and saw the first half that he had, I commented that I felt he was going to come out and play very well in the second half because there's a lot of inspiration there when his front court mate Shima was playing so well that he really needed to come out and perform to ensure that his presence on the floor was just as much, if not more, felt in the second half as his front court mate, and he did that. He has a remarkable way of having double doubles that you wouldn't know until you look at the stat sheet that he played that well. Quietly does the job, but effectively in the second half, he really, really had a huge impact and was inspired the way he played.
Was a couple of minutes where Coach Pitino said he couldn't believe it, but he put Silas Sunday in to play, and he performed well. He got one layup, and he got a rebound, and he gave a foul, which helped. And boy, does he take up space under the basket at 7 foot, 270 pounds. You can't move him. He doesn't get very high in the air, but it seems like a player with good hands that he can really grab the ball. Has a lot of potential. What do you think of his appearance out there on Tuesday?
I think his future is very bright, and you can see every time he steps on the floor, he's doing things that shows he's progressing. It's easy to say, "Oh, he's a freshman," but he's certainly a player that can come in and give Iona very good minutes. He's getting very comfortable scoring, which really helps their presence underneath and allows both Nelly and Shima to play uninhibited and not worry about fouling because they know they have another guy that can come in a game and give them some good minutes. I'm I'm very excited about that young man's future. I think he's going to be a spectacular ball player for Iona, and certainly playing for Coach Patino and putting in the work. He could have a solid career beyond college.
I think it's a little demoralizing for the opposition when you get the 6'10" center on the bench with fouls, and they put in a bigger guy. Silas Sunday, and he's only going to get better. But it was a good and illustrative couple of minutes. You talked about Osborne Shima had 10 rebounds in the game, 9 points. And 3 assists. Very animated player. Coach Patino just says he tries everything to get him to put weight on. It doesn't seem to work.
Well, I know a few things he can do. Come hang out with some of us old guys at 10 o'clock at night. We're having a little snack. Maybe he needs to start snacking a little bit more at night.
Well, it's interesting. They talk about basketball teams, college basketball teams that are at schools with good football programs, and the amount of weight training capability. I know, just from our work covering Army, they get a player in at 230, and by the time he's a senior, he's 290. And I guess it's a question of diet and his metabolism, whatever the factors are, but they'd sure like to get him. Like up, as Coach Patino said, a solid 220.
Well, some things happen more naturally than others. Um, Unfortunately for Iona, he'll probably put on that weight after he leaves college. But when he's playing the way he's playing, weight or no weight, the impact that he's going to have is going to be very, very valuable for the team.
Okay. Well, a solid win over a nationally prominent team, St. Louis. We're all trying to remember a comparable game at the Heinz Center. Going back well into the Tim Cluse era and before, of a nationally prominent team coming in to New Rochelle to play. Very hard to do to get a major team in. I think Coach Patino was able to do this because he, the St. Louis coach is one of his former players, Travis Ford, and Coach Patino recognized Travis Ford with a memento and an introduction before the game Tuesday.
Yeah, I heard that prior to the introduction of the players. And listen, when you feel that strongly about a former player and a current coach, and probably a personal friend, you do those types of things. And Coach Pitino's coaching tree is very vast, and has very talented coaches out there doing great things learned from him. And I'm sure it was very emotional for him as well to see one of his guys doing so well, to come in. But I can tell you when the ball went up, both of them forgot about the award ceremony and decided they want to try to beat each other. So
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that's how coaches are. They're best friends off the court. They want to beat the pants off each other when the game's on.
exactly.
And we always recognize that. Now, one other I thought slight new development was a coach Steve Masiello was on the bench Tuesday night, and Coach Pitino said afterwards that he is now officially a part of the coaching staff. One of the coaches had left for another job opportunity and created an opening. And that's got to be a pretty good asset for Coach Pitino and Iona to have Steve Masiello helping to contribute this year.
Listen, they have a very solid coaching staff already. Guys that are very capable, know how to recruit, have coached in many different places before. And when you add a head coach like Steve, Coach Masiello to your staff, and also a very trusted person for Coach Pitino, former player, and someone who is in the coaching ranks because of him, it can only help. And I can tell you firsthand, Coach Masiello is a very good coach. He really knows what he's doing, takes very seriously what he does, and it's nothing but a big positive for the Gales.
Well, the Gales now have a few days to get set after a flurry of 3 games in 5 days. They are going to play in Brooklyn on Sunday morning, actually, 11:30 start at the Barclays Center against St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies, school rich in basketball tradition. I remember them playing in an NIT at Madison Square Garden when I was growing up and getting a chance to see them. Their coach, Mark Schmidt, 15 seasons there in Olean, former Boston College player,
Mhm.
and played for Coach Tom Davis there. Also coached at Robert Morris. Tell us a little bit about Mark Schmidt.
Well, he's a very good coach. And many schools for a number of years have tried to get him out of St. Bonaventure, but he loves it up there, does a really good job recruiting his types of players. And as you know, over the years, have taken him to the tournament. St. Bonaventure's style of play should be really interesting against Iona. It's almost going to be the type of prize fight that both sluggers are going to come out and battle right away. I wouldn't be surprised to see St. Bonaventure press Iona early, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, Iona return the favor and press them as well. So it should be a very exciting game. Really good team in St. Bonaventure. Iona coming off a really solid win. Only thing I would say is, the win for Iona over St. Louis was so exciting that they can't let their guard down now and decide, okay, well, we're starting to beat some of the best teams around and underestimate other teams, which I don't think will happen. They have an excitement right now that it shouldn't matter who they're playing. They should want to show up and continue to play Iona basketball the way they're playing.
Yeah, I think they will. Looking at St. Bonaventure, 6-3. Their big signature win, you got to say, is over Notre Dame, 63-51. And but they've got a couple of losses on their schedule. They lost at Canisius and they lost at Buffalo. We just saw Canisius. Iona beat them pretty handily. What do you think about St. Bonaventure's season? It seems a little bit uneven.
It happens. It's still early in the season, and sometimes teams are trying to find their way. I'm not aware of any injuries to their players that could have created that. Um, but it goes to show you on any given night, that's why they play the game. If you took everybody's, roster and just threw it up against the wall and said, "Oh, well, we should win this game because we have these types of players," it doesn't work like that. You got to go play the game. And I'll tell you, even with a couple of those losses that you wouldn't expect to see on St. Bonaventure's resume, they'll show up and they'll play Iona pretty tough in the Barclays Center.
Well, I'm sure they will. And their two guards, Daryl Banks averages nearly 17 a game, and Kyrell Luke 15 and a half points a game. They were a top 25 team last year. They average 71 points a game scoring, and they give up only less than 65. So they're a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah, and that's Coach Smith's model, and they're good defensively, a lot like Iona, because they cherish the type of play that forces other teams to, want to turn the ball over a little bit, and also play at a pace that suits St. Bonaventure. And yes, they're another team that Iona is going to go up against that has very good guards, scoring guards, but I like what I've seen thus far with Iona's ability to shut those types of guards down. And a lot of credit should go to Barrett John Lewis. He was incredible with how he performed. Listen, he blocked at least two jump shots, two 3-pointers that someone took a block shot. And that tells you that that young man, really, really can defend. He also had a number of block shots with guys going to the basket because he can literally get his head up by the rim. So he's a very key factor in Iona's quest to continue to be very good because of what he provides defensively and certainly with his confidence offensively that he has going right now.
Yeah, he had 4 blocks against St. Louis, and so did I for Shima. So 13 blocks is pretty good for the Gales in that game. St. Louis at 5, and so that is a good sign. So I think it's gonna be a good one. Are you gonna be over there on Sunday?
So I'm going to try.
Okay.
But this is a holiday season, and I have a to-do list from the family here, from the wife, that I have to start to scratch off a little bit.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I'm going to be doing a doubleheader because I'll be at the Army-Navy game on Saturday covering that
Yeah.
and
good.
getting back late and doing a quick turnaround. But hate to miss a game, and I really hate to miss a Coach Pitino press conference. We've got the video on our page on Facebook, Iona University Gales basketball report. I always have to catch myself in saying using the IC initials like you for over 40 years now. So what an achievement that was for Iona to get university status this July, and I'm going to get used to saying it very soon.
Yeah, I just want to make one note also. It was so nice to see some of my former teammates and players that played after us at the game. Certainly having Jeff Rulin in the audience, and Kevin Vesey, Tim Richardson, Gary Springer, and both of the Birds showed up.
Oh.
So it was just really, really nice to see players come back. Danny Doyle showed up, and others. So it's nice to see that people are coming back to support the Gales, and hopefully Coach Pitino and the team recognizes that legacy means something here at Iona as well.
Yeah, gosh, a couple of times we had the alumni participate in the TBT, and Steve Burt put on a show on 2 of the years. One year down in Philadelphia, one time up in Syracuse, and boy, he still could motor up and down the court. And Yeah, no, it's terrific. I had a chance to say hello to Jeff Rulin. Always good to see Jeff. Not only a great player, but he had a great coaching tenure at Iona. And I hope they will have another alumni day in January or February and introduce as many of the former players who can attend, because I think that is part of building a program. As you said, having a legacy, and Iona's had so many great teams dominating the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference really since its formation. And I hope we get another alumni day where so many of the former players can be introduced, and we'll have to talk to some folks about that one. But Kevin, anything else in the world of college basketball standing out to you so far?
Well, I think it's a wide open year. There aren't many teams that you can, guarantee are going to make it to the Final Four. So it's wide open. And I think this could be the year, some more mid-major teams not only shock the world, but continue to show that mid-major basketball is just as prominent as the top teams traditionally. And hopefully we'll have some excitement as the season continues to go on.
Absolutely. I mean, you see, I spend time in college football that the Power Five leagues, so-called, are really trying to go off on their own, and even talk of their having a separate basketball tournament. But schools, like Gonzaga, have done so well. Butler, when they had their run, Loyola Chicago, got to credit St. Peter's. Their run last year was so remarkable, and what schools like Iona have been able to achieve, what a St. Bonaventure has been able to achieve.
Right.
Small school upstate New York, and they make the top 25. It's good to see that there is room in college athletics for the success of teams from some of the smaller schools and mid majors, and so many of the Catholic colleges around the country are able to compete very successfully. Well, Kevin, we will look forward to catching up next week. Be after the Army-Navy game on my side. Hopefully after an Army win. But it should be a great game down in Philadelphia on Saturday. But we'll catch up next week before talk about this one with St. Bonaventure, and before the Gales head out to New Mexico.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Look forward to it. Enjoy the
Okay.
Army-Navy game.
Okay, thank you. And Kevin Hamilton, class of 80 at Iona, a pleasure always to talk with you and hear your insight into Iona basketball and college basketball. You are an expert at this. So we will say goodnight. It's Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVets Media. We cover cadets, midshipmen, veterans, military, and Iona College basketball. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching.
Good night.